What's up? What's going on? Welcome in to another edition of 92.3 Preps here on the ESPN Wichita channels. We're here on YouTube. We are on Spotify, ESPNWichita.com, the ESPN Wichita app, all over the place. And, of course, I'm your host, Jackson Schneider. We are inching closer and closer to the fall high school sports season here in the state of Kansas, and practices are underway. We have officially begun and got a lot of good stuff. A lot of football, again, on this week's show. A couple of one-on-one lengthy chats with two great coaches. We also got to poke out to practice for one of our area schools. So 3 coaches in total on our show. Also a couple of athletes as we got out to practice, got to visit with a few seniors for the Maize Eagles, as well as head coach Gary Guzman. And then we will also visit with the head football coaches of both the Goddard Lions in Tom Beason and the Garden Plain Owls in Todd Rice. So a couple of really fun interviews for you today. A little bit longer of a show, as a matter of fact, because of that. But just so much good stuff that we had to put into this show. And so I don't want to waste too much of your time, but I will also tell you we're going to be we have released our high school football game of the week schedule in its entirety this week. And a few weeks ago, we talked about some of the games that we had that we were going to be a part of, but not everything was finalized. We were just waiting on some I's to get dotted, some T's to get crossed. That's all done and good now. So in our final segment of the show today, we're going to be going through that schedule game by game for the first 8 weeks of the season, and looking forward to unveiling all of that a little bit later on the show. I want to give a quick shout out as well to our great sponsors of this show, of course, Advanced Orthopedic Associates and AOA Now, as well as Wichita Federal Credit Union. I'll give you a little bit of insight on each of those as we progress throughout the show. But again, always appreciate their sponsorship, their partnership with us here at ESPN Wichita to be a part of this show as it continues to grow and blossom. And, man, things are going to get really, really fun here in a very short amount of time. So, again, thank you to Wichita Federal Credit Union and Advanced Orthopedic Associates and AOA Now. Let's get our first break. When we come back, we will poke out to practice with the Maize High School Eagles and visit with Gary Guzman, as well as Drake Blasi and Pearce George, 2 great athletes for the Eagles, and we'll get some thoughts from each of them. And then, of course, we'll visit with Todd Rice and with Tom Beason. That's all next here on 92.3 Preps. You're listening to ESPN Wichita.
I'm always telling him to shake it off, but sometimes we need professional care. Ow! Ow! Thankfully, I know just the place.
AOA Now is your premier orthopedic immediate care for when you need it most. Our expert team specializes in breaks, sprains, and strains. With our new state-of-the-art facility, we'll have you back in action in no time. Visit AOA Now on web and K96 today for fast, specialized orthopedic care where we keep Kansas in motion.
Well, we're out here at Maize High School practice tonight, Coach. It's a hot one. But
it's another hot one, yes.
I feel like you're kind of used to this, adjusting to the heat. And again, by the way, this is Gary Guzman, the head football coach of the Maize High School Eagles, but kind of adapting and adjusting, right, to the crazy Kansas weather, because in a few weeks it'll be snowing, right?
Right. So yeah, we practiced late on Monday and Tuesday, 7 o'clock, and obviously we're looking at probably going late the entire week. And last night we even had to get off the field early because we had some lightning around us. So we're dealing with all kinds of Kansas weather, like you said, and so it's just part of it.
And that sort of comes with this time of year. There's a lot of adjusting and learning on the fly. There's new guys you're looking into, guys that are growing or stepping into bigger roles. But through the first couple days of official practice, how have things gone in terms of just developing this team?
I think things are going well. Obviously, practicing in the evenings when it's cool, it helps. Because kids they got a lot of energy and they feel good about things. But no, it's been good. We feel like we've got a really strong senior class and that's hopefully going to carry us a long way. And we have high expectations of this team and high expectations of our seniors and want them to step up and lead us. And I know that they have the ability to do that and the willingness to do that. So. No, it looks pretty good offensively, defensively. We're obviously working on special teams as well. Day one, we put a lot of emphasis on special teams, so we're always going to practice that. But I think things look good. Defensively, we're not very big, and we've never been very big. We look for speed and quickness and guys that like to hit and fly around and make plays, and we're hoping that they can do that and create some turnovers and give the offense opportunities.
Well, looking at this group, you mentioned the senior class and the success that they've experienced as part of this program. Do you feel like that helps them breed success as well, with setting the example for some of these younger guys as well, having been through it and knowing the standard of this program?
Yeah, I think obviously the expectations are high every year, and you got so many groups that have come through here and done such a good job for us, and you, I think, as a player, probably feel some pressure to keep things going. And again, I think we got those guys that can handle that pressure and can stand up and do the things that we want them to do. But the experience that they get each year, when you have a pretty solid senior group that gets a lot of the playing time, those younger guys are still coming in and getting some time as well, and I think going into the playoffs and sometimes deep into the playoffs, those things help to give those young kids extra reps and get them ready for the next season when that senior bunch graduates and now it's their turn. So,
well, with this group, could you just highlight a few guys we'll start with offense that have been key pieces for you, ones that you'll look to this season as contributors?
Sure. I always tell our offensive line that it starts with them. And Nolan Hadley is a 4-year starter, and he is the only return offensive starting lineman that we have this year, and he was the only return offensive starting lineman last year. So we graduated for this past season, for the season before that, and so he's back again for his final year, and I think he's definitely one that is going to get that offense going, because, like I said, it starts with those guys up front, and they know that. And I don't mind telling them that, putting that pressure on them. They handle it well. Offensively as well, we got Pearce George that's back, and he's an outstanding player for us on offense. He's a playmaker. He's our go-to guy. He's the guy that's probably going to get double teamed. He's probably the guy that's going to get jammed on line of scrimmage. But we expect him to do what he does and continue to make plays. And we'll do different things with him. We'll move him around so that they don't get their shots on him and they don't know where he's going to be necessarily. So he's a big target for us. Our running back, shared the position last year. And he's bigger and stronger this year, so we're really excited about him, DeMarie Smith. And so with those three, you got an offensive lineman, receiver, and running back. That gives us a pretty good start. And we have a lot of other really good players on offense, but those are the three that I'm going to talk about offensively. Defensively, you got to have somebody in the middle that can fly from sideline to sideline, and that's Blasi, Drake Blasi, our linebacker, inside linebacker. And along with him, we got Connor Gertson, and another inside linebacker. That those two guys we expect a lot from. Defensive line, we got a couple other seniors, Josiah Cole, Isaac Lerma, that are back from last year's defense, and then we got several in the secondary, including Vincent Rosas and Schutte, and let's see, we picked up a couple new ones this year, but so we got 5 or 6 guys that are going to be pretty solid over there, and others that are going to be able to help us.
Well, good deep group, veteran group. What are you looking for then over the next couple of weeks in terms of development, just to make sure this group's ready for week 1?
Just make sure that we continue to. I tell these kids this every day, pretty much. We got to get better every day. You got to get better every day. Don't come out here and waste your time and waste our time. Make sure you come out here and get something out of practice. Make sure you're getting better. I think it's important next couple of weeks to make sure that they understand what we're doing offensively, defensively, special teams wise, and so there's no question about it when we kick off here in 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks, whatever. They're going to be ready to go. And again, to me, it's knowing what to do. knowing where to line up, knowing what to do, and then getting it done. That's what we're going to focus on, making sure that our kids are prepared and ready to go for that first game.
All right, Coach. Appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank
That's
you for
Gary
coming
Guzman, head
Appreciate
football
it.
coach of the Maize Eagles. All right, visiting with Pearce George, the Maize High School Eagles. Pearce, off to a good start. Obviously, it's hot, but how do you feel like your team's adjusted? Late night practices and just trying to get things started.
I feel like we've adjusted pretty well, especially practicing in the summer all the time. Just coming out here in the heat, just still working, not letting the heat affect us, and just keeping everything going. So.
Well, looking at this team, obviously you got a big group of seniors that are going to be a big part of this team. What makes your senior class special? What about this group separates you from senior classes in the past in this program?
The senior class, we've all really played like varsity since we were all freshmen. We've grown up with each other, played against each other, and I think it's just time that we put it all together and go after a ring this year. And yeah.
Well, coming off a year last year, 10-1, and really solid year, league champs, all those great things, but you fall short in the playoffs. Does a loss like that help get you a little bit hungrier as you head into the summer and now into the season?
Yeah, it hurts. Every time Coach brings it up, you can just tell everybody that came back from last year is just like pissed about it and like ready to get back on everyone. And I know it lights a fire under everybody's butt. So yeah.
Well, obviously, you play in a challenging league. You get good teams every single week, and it's a big time challenge. There's no real off week. Do you guys enjoy the challenge playing in the ABCTL?
Yeah, we enjoy it very much. I feel like it gets us prepared for playoffs and the late season. And yeah.
Now, tell me a little bit about the other guys around you on offense. Who's some guys that we need to be looking out for?
Our tackle, Nolan, he's been a big part, started all 4 years. One of our main guys has led the O-line for the past years too. Colton, our quarterback, he just transferred from Lawrence. Didn't really play last year because we had Braden, but he started at Lawrence and he did pretty good, and we've just been working a lot together, and I feel like he's going to have a huge season, as well as our running back, Demarie. Switched reps last year with a senior that started for a while, and he did his part when he came in, so I feel like we're going to have a good squad with these guys on offense.
Now, for you on the defense, obviously you go against these guys all the time. They're big-time defense, but who are some of the guys that give you the hardest time when you're going one-on-one?
I'd probably say Drake. We've gone at it forever, played against each other. Now we're playing with each other. It's always a dogfight at practice with each other. Who else? Probably Bray Witcher. Transferred from Maize South, but he's a dog, and I can see it in him. He's ready to come play for us. So.
All right. What are you looking forward to the most about this season?
Really just giving it all out there. I mean, it's my last season, so I really have to try, let everything out. I have nothing to lose, really, so just go out there and have fun.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, Pearce.
Thank you.
Visiting with Drake Blasi of the Maize High School Eagles. Start of the year, obviously it's really hot. Everybody wants to talk about the heat. How have you guys handled that with practicing late at night?
Our coaches realized that we would bring maximum energy later in the day, so we moved practice later so we could focus better and just perform better and get the stuff knocked out.
Now, early in the year, obviously, you got to go through kind of the motions, get yourself, ready to put pads on. But how excited are you for, putting pads on today here a little bit later on?
I'm super excited. Obviously, the main goal isn't just to hit and hurt my teammates, but I'm excited to get our O-line and D-line ready to play. So, yeah, really excited to put on some pads, yeah.
Big year for you, big senior class around you, a lot of guys with experience. I asked Pearce this a little bit ago, but what makes this senior class special here at Maize?
We've been playing together since 7th grade. I mean, all of us have been almost glued together, I would say. So the chemistry is going to be there. So it's going to be not only a team that's super disciplined and ready to play and super physical, but we're going to be super close together, closer than our team even last year.
Now, last year was a great season for you guys, but you just fell a little bit short in the playoffs. How would you say that loss and the way last year ended has helped to drive you to get better this season?
Yeah, nothing but pure motivation. Our coaches have done a great job of preparing us for helmets and shoulder pads already, and we've been grinding all summer. The one goal that we need to get Coach Guzman is just a state championship now, and I feel like we are more than prepared to do it.
Now, for you personally, prepared to play baseball at the Air Force Academy, but you're obviously multi-sport guy. How did you decide baseball was the path for you, and how do you use football this year to prepare you for that in the future?
Honestly, football's been a part of my life. It's been a staple. It's the same as baseball. Giving that up would be like, I don't know, like a season injury that I couldn't contribute to. I just feel like I owe it to my team, especially just the amount of effort and stuff I've put in already. And I feel like we have a great group of guys, great chemistry, and I feel like we could get it done. So, yeah.
Well, with that, it's your last year. It seems like I already know what you're going to say here, but what's the big goal for you this year, senior season?
The goal is just to get better every day, not only as a player, but as a person as well. And just motivate my teammates, make them better people and players on the field. And we are more than capable to bring home a state championship.
Now, lots of big games this year, obviously, tough league. Do you guys enjoy the challenge of the ABCTL, playing teams like, Maize South, Derby, all those teams that are always right there with you and being top of the state?
We love the challenge, especially it's good motivation. We respect all of our opponents and just take it to them the same each week. Don't overlook anybody, because football is a sport where if you get too cocky, it's going to punch you in the mouth.
All right, last question for you. Give me one guy on the defense that we don't know a lot about yet that we will here in a couple weeks.
We don't really have any weaknesses. So, like, if you pick out a guy, each guy brings a different card to the table that could very well, that is a very, important piece to our team. But Josiah Cole, he's a staple to our D-line, and he brings it every day.
Awesome. Appreciate the time, Drake. Good luck this year.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I'm always telling him to shake it off, but sometimes we need professional care. Ow! Ow! Thankfully, I know just the place.
AOA Now is your premier orthopedic immediate care for when you need it most. Our expert team specializes in breaks, sprains, and strains. With our new state-of-the-art facility, we'll have you back in action in no time. Visit AOA Now on web and K96 today for fast, specialized orthopedic care where we keep Kansas in motion.
Welcome back here on the 92.3 Preps podcast. Jackson Schneider previewing the high school football season with you once again, and pleased to be joined by another great area coach. Today, we are visiting with Coach Todd Rice, the head football coach of the Garden Plain Owls. Coach, thanks so much for the time today. How are we doing?
You bet, doing great. Just our first day with students in the building, so just kind of trying to keep my head above water right now.
Yeah, it's kind of a funny juggle that you do at the beginning of the year, and the kids kind of do it as well, where you get practice back in the fold, and now you add school into the mix as well, and they're trying to figure out their classes and things like that, along with kicking off the football side of things. But how has that balance gone, at least as practice has begun just for the last few days?
Yeah, I tell you what, just every year presents some different challenges, and coming in this year, we were able to practice in the afternoon on Monday, but we've been in the morning the last couple mornings, and because we have to have lights, and we come in at 5:30, and we're getting our track redone, so we got some just a few logistics kind of bouncing out there. And so I don't know, I was in the Army for a while. You just adapt and improvise and make the best of it.
Well, I could take that advice right away. We had some technical issues on my end when we were trying to get you on for the interview. I got to find different ways to adapt and overcome, but come to find out it was my own stupidity that caused those problems. So I apologize. But now that we have you, I want to talk, before we get into this year, about last year. 9-2 season, really, really solid performance from your team once again, and good playoff run. How do you build through the summer off of a year like that and just make sure that your guys continue to move forward?
I think our guys here, are really into what can we do to maximize ourselves in our program, and we're really proud of the tradition the Garden Plain has, and so what can we do to keep extending that? It was a nice run again last year, but that was last year's group. And so our guys have come back hungry. I think we had 87% attendance in the weight room this summer. That's down just a little bit from previous years. I think that's still a real strong indication of the commitment level we have from our athletes. And that takes a lot of commitment from our parents as well. So, we got a good sized group of kids that love football, have some good experience. We've got a lot of continuity in our coaching staff now. I'm going into year 5, and we've pretty much identified who we are. And now how can we continue to get, better day by day?
You mentioned how, that's last year's group. Now the focus is this year's group. The good news is you've got a solid group that was a key part from last year's success that you bring back to maybe some elevated roles or just to add to the leadership that you have for this year. But what have you seen from that core group, your juniors and seniors for this year's class that were a big part of the success, last season, and how they've kind of taken the reins on to begin this year?
Yeah, I think, the teams that we're seeing that we're playing against, and, knowing the level those programs are at, I think that motivates our guys because we want to be one of the top teams in 2A. We want to be one of the teams right there at the end, getting in the West and playoffs and trying to make a strong run. Our guys have taken ownership in that. Last year, we had 8 different guys at one point or another start on defense, and or 6 or 7 with some starter experience on offense, and so they have a good taste of it. They know what it takes. They know what it looks like to play at a high level and what it takes to play against these high level teams.
Yeah, with that, I mean, you're in a challenging league, and you play some challenging non-league teams as well. So you're clearly, not afraid of the big challenges. And I think a lot of coaches I talk to that have similar challenges in their schedule kind of embrace those challenges. Teams like on your schedule, you'll play Cheney and Holcomb right out of the gates. Those are 2 very high profile programs in the state of Kansas. How much do you enjoy and embrace the challenges that you face like that week to week with your schedule?
It's going to be a great opportunity. I mean, that's a pretty rough road that we have on the 3A teams. We're one of the smaller 2A teams. We might play the toughest 3A schedule in the state with the teams that we face. The key in that element is going to be staying healthy as we progress through it. But we also know that we have to be able to play at that level if we want to keep going and extend our season. So, a lot of great opportunities. You make a mistake against one of those teams and, probably costs you a game. So, we're trying to prepare that way right now every day in practice.
Looking, again at this group, a lot of teams be excited about having a quarterback coming back, but you've got a quarterback coming back that was actually a running back last year and amassed over 1,000 total yards. How has Braylon Dold kind of handled the change there from running back to being your quarterback now, and looking at his experience on both sides of the ball, maybe paying some dividends for him to lead the offense?
Yeah, he's an athlete that's been in the mix since his freshman year. And so, he's coming basically into his 3rd year for, varsity experience. And, he's just an explosive athlete, makes plays in a lot of different areas. He was, our special teams player of the year in our league, in our district. So he can impact the game in a lot of different ways. So now having the opportunity to have him under center, to have the football in his hands every play, like just brings another element to put an explosive athlete like that under center. And, his work ethic matches, what he wants to achieve personally and as a member of our team. And, just super pleased with, he's one of our hardest workers, one of our most committed athletes. And when you put all those elements in there, some good things are going to happen.
Absolutely. And then looking at the offensive line, obviously a guy that kind of jumps off the page when I was doing my research to prep for this is a guy like Brock Randolph, a guy who's done a lot of big things and has been recognized league, district, state for things that he has done for you as a program. But to have him kind of leading the charge, at least up front, that's got to be a big lift as well, to have not only the quarterback in Braylon Dold that you have and his experience, but the guy right in front of him protecting him, leading the way as well.
Yeah, Brock's another athlete that, got starting time as a freshman, has been a big part of this run that we've been on. And to be able to start with him in the middle of our offensive line, to bring that confidence, to bring that physicality. Brock's same way, extremely hard worker in our weight room, one of our top lifters. And it's just exciting to watch, how those guys conduct themselves.
And you've mentioned, wanting to carry on the tradition of success that Garden Plain has had in the past. And it's something I didn't know, but in the notes that you had sent me, Garden Plain might be one of the top teams in the state in all classes of all-time playoff appearances. And that's something, that carries generations then, and the buy-in that comes with the community in supporting your program and wanting to help it build, and the kids, growing up, coming to games in grade school and middle school, and then coming up into your program. How have you felt the tradition of Garden Plain football continue to build over now 5 years with the program?
I think you see it every day, when our guys are in the community and, around, whether it's former players or, parents of, just everybody, loves talking about football and past games and past athletes and talking about the excitement of Friday Night Lights coming up, and all that's huge. And I think what we do is, as far as program wide, I think we have a really good structure to what we try to do. A couple of coaches on my staff run a lot of the youth football here. And a lot of that's just flag football, letting kids develop and have fun. So Kyle Wallace and Brent Randolph have been two guys heavily invested in that. And that's allowed us to come into middle school. Last year, I believe we had 40 athletes out in middle school. This year we'll have 55 out in the high school. And so our junior high and high school numbers are staying strong. And I think it's a tribute to what everyone's doing in our youth program, keeping the development as the emphasis, and just promoting participation, letting kids have fun in the sport. And then, those kids come out on Friday nights and watch us play. And, it's a real cool environment.
Again, we're visiting with the head football coach of the Garden Plain Owls in Todd Rice. And Coach, looking at your roster, we talk about the experience that you bring back, but there's always, with every new team, there's some young guys that every team is excited about and the potential that they bring. And wanted to ask you if there were some names that may be popping up here in the next few weeks that everyone needs to take notice of.
I really appreciate our seniors that have been a big part of this. Hunter Campling, two-way starter, coming back. Carter Tass has played a lot of football for us. Trevor Catlin, Matthew Mans, Xander Groh. I mean, these guys that are, continue to try to carry the momentum. And then with that junior class, have an awful lot of guys with experience across there with Easton Pauley, Jamie Joplin, Carter Tatum, Mason Phelps, Wyatt Stuhlsatz, just a lot of guys, JJ McFadden, a long list of those guys. I'm real excited to see what happens for us at our B-back position. We graduated Emmerich Hayes. Emmerich left our building, second leading rusher in school history, third leading tackler, and has had, plus 1,000-yard rushing seasons back to back. And now Jack Helton, Wyatt Stuhlsatz, maybe some younger guys kind of have to step into that role. And it's going to be real exciting to see how they contribute and what they can do now that it's their turn.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I always enjoy about your program is that there's always multiple guys that you can count on offensively. And for a run-heavy offense, I feel like that's a very key factor, because you can't just always rely on one guy, because you want to stay healthy and you don't want them to wear down. And especially with so many guys playing both sides of the football, that's a key factor as well. But how do you go about building that depth where you have 3 or 4 guys, maybe even more, that you can give the ball to 5-10 times a game and kind of spread things around, keep them fresh, and still find ways to be productive?
I give a lot of credit to we run the flex bone and got most of the elements from Harding University and Friends University. And I think what we do in our practice structure, where every athlete is getting coached, in individual drills, group drills, team drills. We also 2 platoon our staff, and we practice together 7 through 12. So for our high schools on offense, they're with the offensive staff, while our junior high is being coached by our uh, defensive staff, and then we switch that. And so I think, we've got 8 position coaches, and those guys do a phenomenal job, with their coaching fundamentals and just continuity that we have staff wise. So I'd give a lot of credit to how our coaches are helping develop our guys. But the weight room is a strong emphasis here. So we have our junior high athletes involved in a year-round lifting program. The administration gives us a great opportunity with high school strength and conditioning classes. And, when you put those things together, I think we have a formula that's worked well for us, and hopefully we can continue to build on that.
Well, you mentioned the influences within your offense of, 2 very impressive teams collegiately, Harding and Friends here, of course, in the Wichita area. And those are 2 programs that are kind of going against the grain with how they do things offensively, with running the ball and the flex bone and things like that you obviously emulate. But in this era, I guess, of the sport of football, a lot of teams will turn to throwing the ball more. How have you seen the benefit of using the flex bone and running the ball more to help your team be successful, rather than maybe airing it out like others might?
It's just, you've got to continually try to sell your program, and get a buy-in on what we're trying to do. I think it was 2 years ago, the state champions, 4 of the 6 were flex bone, a heavy run-oriented offense. And so that is what allows you to be, to me, the most successful at the high school level. And then you have to sell your athletes, your parents, your community on it, that we want to be that blue collar, physical, gritty team. We talk about it in our core values, power of the unit. And we're only going to be as strong as what we can bring individually to the team. And I know a lot of those things have changed at every level, but I hope that always stays a strong identity of Garden Plain, that toughness, that team first mentality. And when people see us play, I hope they realize that these guys play really hard for each other, and they want to represent every Friday night.
Well, looking at you and your experience, being a head coach at multiple places, both here in Kansas and in Nebraska, has that sort of identity been kind of the focal point of your programs and how you operate? Is that sort of mentality?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've learned, like anybody else, you learn a lot from your mistakes. And I've done a lot of different things offensively. I mean, previous school, one time we owned some of the passing records for that school. So, I'm all about whatever it's going to take to be successful. Fortunately, running the football has been very good to us. I want to know who we are and build on our strengths. And, I don't want to just waste downs out there, but, we want to know what we are. We want to stay true to that. And, hopefully over 4 quarters of football, we can be the mentally and physically tougher team.
All right. Again, Coach Todd Rice is our guest here. And Coach, as we wrap up, just some stuff to get to know you a little bit better. What do you do as a coach to relax? I've talked to some that golf or go fishing. What do you do maybe in your off season to reset and recalibrate before you get ready for a busy fall?
I just I like working out a lot. and like doing it out in the heat and stuff. So if I can get on my bicycle and hit the, you know, trail here, I like to lift weights. That's kind of my getaway. My daughter is going to be a junior this year. She loves to fish and get out to the lake when we can. And then my girlfriend's always got different things going on, movie nights and things that we do. So I know that's real important if you're going to stay in this. You got to be able to get away, unwind, and just try to relax. So those people have been really influential in my life in that.
Speaking of influential people in your life, who's maybe been your biggest coaching influence or mentor?
I mean, there's been a lot of them. Probably somebody who's real impact for me early in my life was Terry Neddenrip, my high school basketball coach, and just the way he conducted himself, the expectations that he had for us. He just had a way to, pull people in, and I learned an awful lot from him that I've applied to the things I do, and then hopefully that drives me as I try to connect and be empathetic toward the athletes in our program.
And then, in 33 years of coaching, you've obviously touched thousands of kids' lives and impacted them, I'm sure, in various ways. But has there ever been an athlete that you've had that had a big, profound impact in your life?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of them, with the personal experience that they have gone through. One I'd probably say Rich Holacek was an athlete that I had at Nest City clear back in the 1990s when I started, and kind of going through some different life experiences with Rich, and we still stay in contact. And during his stretch, he was setting high school national rushing records, and I mean, I've just learned a lot from him, and enjoy a relationship that's lasted 30 plus years now.
All right. And then I have to ask you about one of your former athletes. I told you before we started recording, I had the pleasure of covering your team a few years back in the playoffs, and you had a talented running back at that time by the name of Gage Lee. And to this day, he is one of the more exciting and just unbelievable athletes I have ever had the pleasure of watching play a high school football game. What can you tell me about Gage Lee and his impact on you and the Garden Plain program?
Oh, incredible. I mean, Gage is that guy that can walk into the room and put a smile on anybody's face. And Gage had experienced a lot of things in his life. And, his positive uh, mindset and persona is just incredible to watch him. Just saw him a couple weeks ago in practice. He's playing linebacker at Friends University. And, again, just to have that gift that you can bring a smile to somebody's face, just the way you greet them, the way you express yourself. And Gage was just amazing on and off the football field.
Awesome. Well, Coach, again, I really appreciate the time to preview the year for you and look forward to following along to Garden Plain this season. But again, thanks so much for the time. We'll talk again soon.
All right. I appreciate you. Thank you.
That's Todd Rice, head football coach of the Garden Plain Owls. We'll take a quick break here on 92.3 Preps and be back with more right after this.
I'm always telling him to shake it off, but sometimes we need professional care. Ow! Ow! Thankfully, I know just the place.
AOA Now is your premier orthopedic immediate care for when you need it most. Our expert team specializes in breaks, sprains, and strains. With our new state-of-the-art facility, we'll have you back in action in no time. Visit AOA Now on web and K96 today for fast, specialized orthopedic care where we keep Kansas in motion.
Welcome back here on 92.3 Preps, brought to you as always by our good friends at Advanced Orthopedics Associates in AOA Now. I'm Jackson Schneider. As we continue previewing the 2026 fall sports season, we'll bring in another local coach here to get a little bit of the 411 on a local program. Today we're talking with Tommy Beason of the Goddard Lions. Coach, how we doing?
Oh, man, you just stole me away from third hour, so it's pretty great, actually.
Well, I hate to tear you away from the start of a new year, but I know you're excited for the season, and your guys have been hard at work all summer. But now that school is finally in session for you all, Is it a little easier to kind of get into a rhythm and get the year started in the right way?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. The last couple of years, our school district and many of the neighboring school districts have all moved school earlier. In other words, the kids are starting school in our communities before the state official start date of practices. And so that kind of gives you an odd week where you have school happening, the kids are reporting to school, but then we're not allowed to have actual practice. Long gone are the two-a-days of years past where you would have practice for a couple weeks before you would even start school, because school wouldn't start until almost September. So the adjustment to that has actually been a really good thing, because it lets you touch base with your kids for a handful of days. We just keep them after school for just a few minutes a day and speak with them, and get them ready for Mondays. On the 17th, when we can start, we have obviously an actual practice outline that will begin, and our install periods and all that. But right now, we're just kind of touching base and running them around in the heat a little bit and trying to get them ready for the big show on Monday.
Well, you mentioned long gone are the two-a-days. That kind of hurts my heart, because I remember back in my days when football would start, we'd have practice at like 6 a.m. and go straight from practice to school, and then leave school and come back for another practice. And we do that for really the first week of the school year, basically. And it was this, long, hard week, because you're tired from practice, but you're also tired from getting back to school and getting in the rhythm. Do you find that maybe that's a little bit easier to ease your kids in and make sure that they're sharp and focused once those practices do start?
Yeah, there are some opportunities to do some two-a-day style formats. If you wait until the second week, you can go an hour before and then an hour and a half after. And there's some limitations. There are some things that some coaches choose to do. At Goddard, we have not found any more success doing that versus just pouring our hearts out to our regular practice schedule once we can get rolling, and kind of eliminated the two-a-days. I know that they served a purpose. I think sometimes it was more of about a rite of passage than how much you actually got accomplished. It's not that I don't like getting up at 4:30 in the morning to come to the office either, but it wasn't best for coaches. At the same time, the kids are there a long time, while the coaches are there even longer. So maybe it's okay. We've just evolved into some different ways of doing things. The practice contact level has diminished quite a bit over the years. But I think that's more about us practicing smarter versus not practicing harder. I know that I've been at this a minute now, as I'm in my 26th year of coaching. So I feel like I've seen a lot of growth in how we model, how we take care of our kids, the amount of time that we try to utilize the best we can to be most efficient, so that we don't over practice them, what if that means anything. So things are definitely different than maybe they were back when I was a kid playing, but I don't think that that's for the worse. I think that a lot of it is the evolution of how to maximize the most from our kids in the shortest amount of time to still allow us to be successful when it comes game night.
Now, with that, over the summer, there's challenges to make sure you're getting the most out of your kids, but also allowing them other opportunities. And I've talked with other coaches that kind of have to toe the line between, the summer workouts and weight sessions, but kids that also have, summer baseball or play basketball in the summertime. Is there any challenge to that with making sure you've got the proper attention and buy-in over the summer for your football program, while also allowing opportunities in other avenues as well?
When I was a kid, I got to benefit from being a multi-sport athlete. I wasn't any good at any of them, to be blunt, but I did enjoy a lot of things. I grew up in a community where you were able to participate in multiple sports, and that was really important to me. So we don't want specialized football players at Goddard High School. And by that, I mean, do I want good football players? Absolutely. But I don't necessarily wake up in the morning and try to talk kids into being football only kids. We don't have that many of them. Our school isn't big enough to be successful in all sports if we made a football only type atmosphere. We try to encourage our guys actually to use our powerlifting team and our track team as their off-season program. I mean, we put our kids in a heavy lifting program in the winter during our powerlifting season, and we hopefully get them out on the track during track season for the guys that are the skill kids, and try to develop them that way. So we not only do we try to balance the summer activities with basketball and baseball and summer vacation and family time and church trips. I mean, all those things happen. We talk a lot in our program about not worrying about what guys are not available in the summer, but really coaching up the ones that are there. I think that's the best way to maximize your time and be the most efficient we can be. And we're very fortunate at Goddard. I mean, listen, I have a great community with very bought-in parents and kids. And so, and it's nothing that myself or my coaches have done. It's just the nature of the community that we're in. And so we benefit a lot from that. So our attendance is pretty stellar. And when I hear about what other coaches are going through, we're very lucky. We try to keep it to the fewest number of days we can keep them out of other activities to still be able to grow and get better over those 2 months that we get them in the summer. It's actually about 6 to 7 weeks, depending on how the calendar falls. So this year, I think we got 7 weeks of time with them from May till mid-July. And we try to maximize that time. And you know what? I give them the last 2 weeks of summer off. But it's really about them being away from me and me being away from them. So that last 2 weeks of August this year, we took advantage. We hosted a big team camp. We maxed them out the next week. And then I said, just go be kids, go spend 2 weeks away from school and don't come back. And then now we're back in the swing of it. So they've been in school for 3 days now, and we start practice on Monday.
Well, tell us a little bit about the group that you've got coming back, looking towards this year. And you'll be one of the first teams to kick off the season with that Thursday night game against Campus this year. But what group do you have, and who are some of the guys you're excited to see get back on the field?
Well, I don't want to use the word that we're in a rebuilding year, because we do have a returning senior quarterback, a returning senior running back, 3 returning senior offensive linemen. I mean, we certainly have some guys that are coming back that have had some experience. But we also graduated our biggest senior class that we've had since the Eisenhower split. We graduated 31 senior football players. 8 of them signed college scholarships. So when you're replacing 8 college players into a team that doesn't have 8 college players now on it, it's certainly a kind of a kick in the shorts, and you feel like your back's against the wall a little bit in a rebuild. But I don't want to treat it that way, and I don't think our kids and coaches want to either. We're not sacrificing that we're taking any steps backwards. We do have to replace, for example, our linebacker core last year. All 4 linebackers, all 4 are now going to play college football. Well, they were all 4 seniors, and they're all really good players, and we got to replace them all. So we're moving a couple personnel pieces around to accomplish that. One of our seniors that would have been a DB is now going to play outside linebacker because we need him to step into that role. So we certainly have a plan in place to make up for what we've lost from last season to this. But if you ask every really good team, if you went over to Wichita Northwest or Andover Central or some of these teams that have had a lot of success in the postseason as well, and you said, well, you lose a big class of seniors. Well, they lose a big class of seniors that are good every year because they got new guys coming in. And so if we want to hang with those guys, if we want to be as good as those teams, then we have to refresh and rebuild every year. And that's just part of the nature of it. So our schedule is certainly challenging. We do start on a Thursday, so we kick off with one less practice day than everybody else. And then we turn around and have a pretty tough schedule. We play the defending state champions the second week of the season. So, we start off with one less practice than everybody else, then we turn around and play the state champs the next week. And that's a one way to start the year, So we could be 0-2 and still be a good club. We got a lot of work to do in the short time that we have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned the tough schedule and the first 2 games there. Then looming after the state champs is you get your crosstown rival, right? So it's a really quick start for some intense environments and a good challenge. But I feel like every team I talk to, especially in the ABCTL, knowing the quality of teams that you face every week in that league, they embrace the challenge of the schedule because they know that it doesn't matter when you play a team, it's going to be a good matchup no matter what, and you have to bring kind of your best. But when you start off the year in that sort of a fashion, does that kind of add to the intensity and focus that you need to have from that day one, especially knowing you're 1 day less of practice, like you mentioned?
Yeah, I will tell you, we're very fortunate to have really great kids. They're so smart. Goddard High School is a high academic institution. Takes a lot of pride in the classroom, and so that I think spills into our program enough to where we benefit from having kids that are really upper level as far as their capacity to learn. I think sometimes we don't challenge them enough. So I'll throw new things at them, and they just absorb it like a sponge. We got a couple knuckleheads. Maybe they don't absorb it. Some of those guys play defensive line. So other than those guys, the rest of them, the skill players we have are so dang smart. So we lack a little bit of size and strength and speed that we probably see against some of the teams we're going to play. We're quite a bit smaller than our first opponent. We just are. But one thing that I take a lot of pride in is our kids are really, really fast learners, and they're good processors. And when they learn something, that really sticks with them, and they use that to their advantage. And so it's kind of David versus Goliath. We feel real confident in throwing stones, but we're always going to feel like the little guy, and that's just the nature of our community. That's how. I mean, we've won a few games that way too. We've upset some good teams in the last few years, just by just sheer willpower. So our kids will certainly give us the best that they've got, and that's something I can be proud of.
You mentioned returning, some key pieces offensively, between Brock Sullivan and Eric Olivas, and then some of the big guys up front as well. For an offense like yours that's typically very run heavy, that feels like a pretty important core to have to build around. And obviously, like you mentioned, you'll have to have some guys step into some different roles and things. But to have a core like that seems like a great place to start.
Well, we know what we have in Sullivan and Olivas, but you know what? Every team we play does too. I mean, we've talked about all offseason that they're really important to us, and that we're probably going to go as far as those two carry us, and everybody knows that. But so do our opponents. So we've really emphasized this summer. We have we have a couple, 3 or 4 other receiver kids that have really started to step into the role. We have two young players. Schmidt and Martinez, that are 2 young sophomores that are jumping at the bit to get the chance to play some varsity football. Bentley Bliss is a kid that's been with our program all 4 years and hadn't had a chance to be a starter yet, but he's going to be one of our senior receivers, and he's made worlds of strides from last season to this season. And then we have a big blocking back kid that fills in for another senior that we lost. It's going to go to play college football. We have another guy, Cooper Boatwright's going to fill in for one of our lost H-backs. So we have a good group of senior kids. We're just small in number. We had 31 seniors, and now we have 13. So, the ones we have are very, very important to us, and we've got to keep them upright and able. And they are going to have to lead the show. But I wouldn't call us wounded warriors. We just know that we have a lot to prove, and a lot of new faces they're going to have to find out on Friday night if they can hang.
Well, looking forward to the season and everything, with a group that goes from a big senior class to a small one, you talk about not necessarily rebuilding, but still continuing forward. That has to be encouraging, because that means there's a junior and maybe even some sophomores that are going to get some opportunity as well, right?
We've got a defensive line made up of three seniors. Only one of them has been a varsity starter before, but we'll have 3 seniors up front on defensive line: Carson Bryant, Michael Wallace, and Corbin Sullivan. Corbin Sullivan was an all-league player last year. He's fantastic. He's got a motor that doesn't stop. But then behind him at the linebacker level, it's all new guys. It's 2 juniors and a sophomore, and they're going to get their shot. And, if in fall camp somebody beats one of those guys out, maybe it's somebody else. But just right now on paper, we're going to have a bunch of guys that are going to make their debut start on August the 3rd against Campus High. We only bring back two returning starting defensive players. So there's going to be 9 guys out there on defense that are going to get their first shot at it on a varsity game night come August 3rd. So we're going to see what we're made of.
And you got a group, that has been, this program has been so consistent over the last several years, with 5-6 wins each of the last 4 years or so, and has been a team that has contended and competed well within this challenging AVCTL. What do you feel like the success of your program on the field has done to build the program? Because every year you've got like seniors going out, freshmen coming in, and you want to continue that tradition of bringing kids in and building them up. But how do you feel like the success you've had on the field has helped to bring in excitement to your program and make kids want to buy in and be a part of that?
I think that our community does all of that legwork. I mean, we do what we can as coaches to have a program that runs efficiently. And it's, one thing we talk about a lot is football's supposed to be fun. Sometimes I think we forget that these guys do all this work and the lights get really bright and, people are worried about scholarships and Twitter pages and everything else. But when it comes down to it, you play the games, it's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to celebrate and high five and butt slap and do all the fun things that are supposed to be, that's why I love it. Right. So sometimes I think we get caught up in all the other junk and just in high school sports in general, but especially football, because there's no other place to play it. There's no clubs, there's no extras. I mean, outside of maybe a 7-on-7, this or that. I mean, it's 11-man high school football is one place you play it, and that's you represent your high school. And it's a very prideful thing to be a part of. And so we're very lucky that our community supports us as much as we do. I'm in my 15th year here. And so when you've been somewhere that long, you feel really good. You get a little long in the teeth sometimes, probably. I'm sure there's a few fans out there that think maybe we need somebody else running the show, and that's okay. I can live with a little bit of positive coaching from the stands sometimes. But I do think that our community really cares about it. And because of that, it really makes young people want to be a part. I think all young people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. Sometimes we associate, like young kids being so selfish and so self-centered and so cell phone oriented. But honestly, when you take those things away and you get kids excited about having fun together as a group, I think football serves a purpose. I think football serves a purpose to the community, to the school. Those teenage boys that are on your team are some of the most influential people on your campus. And so if you can get them going together in the right direction and they have something to come to school for every day, man, I think football is really powerful. So we've been very blessed in our community to have people on board with us. And hopefully I don't know if we're going to win a single game. We're going to struggle at times this year. I know that we have some pretty tough opponents on the schedule. But if we can have a little bit of success, I think people will keep coming back and the Lion Kingdom, what they call it, will keep being strong.
Again, we're visiting with Tommy Beason, the head football coach of the Goddard Lions. Coach, before I let you go, just a couple quick hitters just to let our listeners get to know you a little bit better. But you've been coaching for, 26 years now?
This is my 26th season, yep.
And that's a lot of change in a sport and how the sport works and everything. But who would you say maybe was your biggest mentor to help you learn to coach and to adjust as the times change? Who's maybe the biggest coaching mentor you've ever had?
Well, I've worked for several really wonderful head coaches. Scott Vang, who was the head coach at Goddard before I took over, is still a personal friend of mine. I actually got the chance to hire his youngest son, AJ, onto my staff. He used to play for us, went off, played college football, and now I've hired him back. I had a couple seasons. I got the opportunity to work with Coach Schartz when we were at Northwest together, and he's still a close friend and been influential in my career. I got the opportunity when I was in college to play for one of the all-time winningest coaches at my college where I played for my undergrad, Kurt Bennett at Sterling College. And then when I was in high school, I had the chance to play for Todd Graham, who went on and had an unbelievable career at being a Division I coach, and he's still a friend of mine through social media. So I've had people that I've been associated with that are wonderful people. I hope someday that when I look back, and I don't know how many years they're going to let me keep doing this. This might be it. But however long they let me keep doing this, I hope that someday when I get the chance to look back, maybe one or two coaches that I've had the chance to work with, maybe will say the same thing about me. And if that's something that challenges you as a leader to make sure you leave a legacy, I think that's a positive thing. I think that's part of what leadership is. And so I'm very blessed. I have guys on my staff right now that A, are way smarter than me, and B, are either former head coaches or should be guys that are in the hunt for future head coaching jobs. Coach Etcher and Coach Ankerholtz, two guys on my staff, are former head coaches, and will choose to be head coaches again if they want to. So we're very blessed to have men that I'm surrounded with that help influence the boys that we're with that are stellar people. And I don't think that I'm necessarily hard to work for. Sometimes I'm the one that's got to catch up to those guys because they have so much energy, and I'm the one dragging. So it's great having we have a good mix of old coaches and young coaches, and it's a really fun crew, and I think the boys really enjoy the way that we get along, and so we're in a really good place. Now, whether we're going to win a daggone football game or not is to be determined. We got a lot of work to do. We got to learn to throw the ball better. We got to learn how to stop the run on defense. And if we can do those two things a little bit better than maybe we do them today in 3 weeks, maybe we have a chance to win one.
Well, Coach, it sounds like you are ready to go, and it's been a long summer, but what do you do to relax? I know coaches got to take some time every once in a while, step away, relax a little bit.
I'm excellent at relaxing.
What do you do to kind of take your time and enjoy yourself?
My two favorite humans in the world are my grandson and my granddaughter. And so we spent a lot of time this summer at the new Exploration Place Park, which is fantastic, by the way, if you haven't taken a kid there. So between the zoo, Exploration Place, Kid Zone at the YMCA, youth soccer and basketball, man, I that's where I get my most joy I get is getting to go watch and hang out with those two. And I spent every Friday this summer being a grandpa daycare. So I got to have them over at the house, and we got to hang out every Friday that I had no football. So I'm really close to them, and I enjoy that. And I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful coach's wife. I mean, coaches usually at one end of the coin or the other, one side of the coin or the other. They get a situation where they maybe have a wife or two or three because the job's pretty hard on marriages. Or you find these coaches that found the right one when they were young, and they have the same coach and wife all the way through. And I'm in that camp. My wife has been with me since I was in college, and she puts up with all the BS that I bring home from work. And she doesn't freaking bat an eye. I mean, she's tough as nails. And so aside from being really hot, which also helps, she puts up with a lot of crap that I bring home when I'm frustrated, and she kind of talks me off the ledge sometimes. And so having a support system like that is really good. I'm very blessed to have one that a lot of people don't. So I recognize that. But yeah, so my downtime is if I get to hang out with my little buddies, that's where I find the most joy.
Awesome. Well, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. I hate to tear you away from third period, but
now it's fourth, so I got to hurry back. Yeah. Right.
Well, Coach, again, appreciate the time. Thank you so much. We'll be checking in again as the season gets going, but best of luck this year.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks so much for all you do for the kids in Wichita.
Absolutely. That's Tommy Beason, head football coach of the Goddard Lions. We'll take a quick break and be back to wrap up the show right after this.
I'm always telling him to shake it off, but sometimes we need professional care. Ow! Ow! Thankfully, I know just the place.
AOA Now is your premier orthopedic immediate care for when you need it most. Our expert team specializes in breaks, sprains, and strains. With our new state-of-the-art facility, we'll have you back in action in no time. Visit AOA Now on web and K96 today for fast, specialized orthopedic care where we keep Kansas in motion.
Final segment of episode 13 of 92.3 Preps today. I am Jackson Schneider, your host as always. Want to give a quick shout out to our interview guests today, Todd Rice and Tom Beason, as well as our practice interviews when we went out to Maize High School, head coach Gary Guzman, as well as Drake Blasi and Pearce George. Really appreciate each of them taking the time to speak with me today. Really fun always to visit with our coaches, but I had a blast getting out to Maize practice the other night and seeing how they got things started. They were practicing a little later at night. It's obviously been super hot and teams have had to adjust. That's how they've done it. Some teams go super early in the morning. They were going about 7 to 9:30 at night, getting things when it cooled off, getting things done that way, not having to wake up maybe quite so early. There's, two sides to that coin. Either way you cut it, you're going to get your practices in one way or the other. But, appreciate them being flexible and letting me be there to observe some of their practices And again, all our coaches giving insight as we start the season. We'll have plenty more of that coming in our shows in the future. But those interviews brought to you, as always, by Wichita Federal Credit Union. 92.3 Preps is, of course, brought to you by Wichita Federal Credit Union. Whether you're saving for the future, buying your first car, or looking for financial solutions that fit your life, Wichita Federal Credit Union is here to help. Learn more about becoming a member and all they have to offer at wichitafcu.com. Now, it's time to look at our schedule. The game of the week. I can't wait for how this is all going to come together and to get back in the booth on Friday nights. There's one thing that I cherish more than anything as a part of this job and a part of the many jobs I've had in the past and working in sports media and radio. It's high school football. There are few things on this planet that are more wholesome and, in my opinion, more American than Friday Night Lights in high school football. You bring towns and communities together for a game, and it means so much in those small towns where the town shuts down for the game, and you just get this unique environment every single week, and it is so much fun. So much fun. These kids playing for their pride of their town and their school, their communities, all these things. There's no NIL in the mix, at least here in Kansas yet, and it's a super fun thing to be a part of just as a broadcaster because you get to see so many stories unfold. And we are going to touch multiple teams and some of the biggest games in our area this year. So let's get through it, okay? I'll put these up on the screen as well so you can see. But our games this year, we'll start with week 1, and we'll head out to Bishop Carroll High School for a big-time matchup in the City League as the Wichita Northwest Grizzlies take on the Golden Eagles, of course, of Bishop Carroll, and kick off our season with that. Then week 2, we'll keep the Northwest Grizzlies, but this time they'll be at home, and they'll host another big-time factor in the Greater Wichita League, and that is the Cape and Mount Carmel Crusaders, 4A state champions a season ago. Had the pleasure, of course, of talking with Coach Weston Schartz a couple of weeks ago when we were still very early in this show. Great interview, as always, and we'll definitely be checking in with him here in the very near future. But that'll be another great game. And then we get into week 3. That's Friday night, September the 18th. And we'll be taking on a big-time rivalry, crosstown rivals, Maize South at Maize High. The Mavericks and the Eagles squaring off, 2 very good programs, 2 great coaches, and, of course, Gary Guzman, who we talked to a little bit earlier, and Brent Pfeiffer, longtime coach, as well at Maize South. That will be a fantastic matchup. And then week 4, we'll stay there at Maize High for another big rivalry matchup in the ABCTL. The Derby Panthers, Coach Brandon Clark, they'll come to Maize to take on the Eagles in that matchup in week 4. That's on September 25th. Then we'll have week 5. We'll head out to Andover and the Trojans, a team that many people are well aware of in what they did last year. Fell a little bit short in the playoffs, but had some big wins, including a win over a team we'll see a little bit later on in our schedule that ended up winning the 5A state title in Salina Central. But the Eisenhower Tigers, Coach Darren Fisher, and the Tigers will go to Andover on Friday night, October 2nd. We'll be on the scene from Andover High there to take all that in. Week 6, though, is one of the biggest games in the Metro every single year. That is the Holy War, as we will see Bishop Carroll host the Cape and Mount Carmel Crusaders on October 9th. Looking forward to that matchup. Big. I mean, it is like when you think of big-time football rivalries, you know, the Auburn and Alabamas, the Texas and OUs, you take it down to the high school scale, it's the Holy War. Capen and Carroll, it will be a ton of fun, and I can't wait for that one. Week 7, we'll have another Carroll contest. They'll head on the road and take on Wichita East and the Blue Aces, a team that last year I believe was 5-5, but had a lot of potential. They bring back a ton of talent, and it should be a really fun matchup. That game will be played at Carpenter Stadium, Wichita South. Then in week number 8, the final game of the regular season, Salina Central, the aforementioned 5A state champs, they will be back on the road, and we'll see another familiar face in the Andover Trojans. Those 2 teams played last year, and again, Andover with a bit of an upset at Salina Central and kind of thumped the Mustangs, as a matter of fact, in a big, big win. And, of course, we talked to Jamie Cruz a couple of weeks ago, talked about that win being kind of the jumping off point for them to truly know that they could be contenders, and they plan to be fully that this season. So what better way to end the regular season than with two of the teams in the AVCTL Division 2 that could really be big-time factors in the 5A class this year. So Central and Andover will round out our regular season. And then our playoff schedule, that right now is up in the air. We'll go to the biggest games here locally. Big school, small school, doesn't matter. I'm looking forward to some of those Friday night lights in those playoff atmospheres. It's going to be fun, but stay tuned for those announcements as we get closer. But for now, again, take a look at the schedule. It's up on all of our ESPN Wichita social media channels at ESPN Wichita, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's even on our LinkedIn page. It's plastered anywhere and everywhere that we could possibly put it. So take a look at that schedule, make your plans accordingly, and get out to those games. But of course, if you can't, tune in to us. We will have the radio broadcast on all those games except weeks 1 and 2. Unfortunate conflict. No radio broadcast for weeks 1 and 2 because the Kansas Jayhawks are playing Friday night football games against Long Island and Missouri on September 4th and 11th. You may be thinking, that creates a problem. How's the radio station going to cover all of those games if they're only going to be on the radio weeks 3 through 8 and beyond? That's where the super fun news comes in. For the first time, we are partnering with our good friends at 810 Varsity, and we will be providing a video feed for every broadcast this season. Every single game that we are at, not only can you listen on the radio, but you will be able to watch a video broadcast with our play-by-play, myself and the crew that we're bringing in, and you'll be able to watch or listen in any possible way. We'll be putting it, I believe, on our ESPN Wichita YouTube channel, and it's going to be a blast. And to add that layer to our coverage, just another area that you can take in every game Friday night. A video broadcast adds so much. You'll be able to see the action, hear the action, feel the action, and it is an awesome opportunity. So again, double dipping this year with our football game of the week coverage, which is always brought to you by our good friends at Commerce Bank as well. They are taking on the role of title sponsor, presenting sponsor for our game of the week this year, and really appreciate them for being a part of this. As again, we're getting ready to kick off an exciting season. And again, radio on 92.3 FM at ESPNWichita.com, and now a video broadcast as well, courtesy of some help of our friends at 810 Varsity. So you can look forward to that. But as we wrap up our show, I want to give another quick shout out to a great partner of ours, and that's Advanced Orthopedics Associates and AOA Now. Big partner of this show, and many more things still to come on our high school sports coverage this year. But again, Advanced Orthopedics Associates and AOA Now, orthopedic care, when an injury happens, you don't always need the emergency room. And AOA Now provides convenient, immediate care for sprains, strains, fractures, and other orthopedic injuries with same-day access to an orthopedic specialist. They have 2 locations here in Wichita. One of them, the west side, is open 7 days a week. The east side location, Monday through Friday. You can learn more at aoanow.com. I'm Jackson Schneider. That's going to wrap up this edition, episode 13 of 92.3 Preps. We'll be back next week with plenty more here on the ESPN Network.